microphones here. I'm also a member of the advisory board of the College of Arts and Science. Tommy, in many ways, met my wife in freshman orientation here and was married in the chapel, so it's good to be back. And tonight is a special night. It's the introduction of our SOLVE program. College of Arts and Science at St. Thomas has created a systematic way for students to use and develop their critical and creative thinking skills to solve real-world problems as part of their college education. The SOLVE projects are multidisciplinary and externally facing. SOLVE brings research and application into the community to make learning and experiences truly engaging. We at this institution believe that we have the opportunity to have the resources, responsibility, and support to encourage the engagement of its entire community to be a harmonious influence in the fabric and pillars of our broader community and world. As a student and an ACC president, I participated with a number of other passionate students to give a voice and a fresh perspective to a number of campus, community, and world issues. What I believed over 30 years ago on this subject has not changed, and that is that the youth are in a unique position to support perspectives untarnished by historic obstacles, new generational values and lenses applied to old biases, and a passion to positively shape the world which they will inherit. For that reason, my heart is so warmed to see that the university has had the vision to provide the structure and encouragement in the form of the SOLVE program. Tonight, we present our first SOLVE Initiative community event focused on civility and public discourse. Our hope is that in the future, that it will further a culture in which difficult conversations can be had with respect and constructive collaborative contributions from all perspectives. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Angela Heipurpert, the chair of the Political Science Department and associated faculty in the Women's Studies in College of Arts and Science here at St. Thomas. Dr. Heipurpert joined the university in 1999. She teaches courses in American politics, women and politics, public policy, and received the USD Distinguished Education Award in both 2012 and 2005. Her research interests include citizens' participation in community energy efficiency initiatives and women's politics, with publications in energy policy, sustainability, carbon management, the Bulletin of Science and Technology and Society, and Women's Politics. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Heipurpert.
Thank you all so much, and hello everyone. Welcome again to the SOLVE Initiative at the College of Arts and Sciences at St. Thomas. I am really just honored to be sharing the stage with these three remarkable leaders. I've been looking forward to this event for a long time, so I'm really glad that you all are here to share it with us. I've been following this story for a few months now, and so I know that you all are in for a very thoughtful and engaging and interesting discussion, so enjoy. I'd like to begin by introducing our three panelists, and then I promise eventually I will sit down, but I'm a teacher, so I like to move around. I will do my best to sit at a certain point. Right now I have to stand. I would like to introduce our three panelists first. This is Mayor Jenny Halvorsen on the end. Mayor Halvorsen was the first woman elected mayor of West St. Paul after serving on the city council since 2013. And she was elected mayor in 2016 and served through 2018. So we're delighted to have her with us today. Councilmember Wendy Berry. Councilmember Berry was elected in November of 2018 to represent Ward 3 of West St. Paul. I think it's worth noting that in her first election, she received 59% of the vote after having lived in that community for 3 years, which we would say in the discipline of political science is remarkable. So please again. Our first panelist Yeoman.
Yay!
Katie co-founded Women of West St. Paul after the April 2018 City Council meeting to create a space where women of all ages could meet together and create change in their community. And that organization is still going strong. I know there's members of that organization here with us tonight, and you'll learn more about that organization tonight too. So thanks to all of you for being here. Our focus tonight is on the intersections of gender and politics as played out in our neighboring city of West St. Paul over the past few years. And I know we need to provide a bit of background for those of you who are unfamiliar with what's been going on with city politics in West St. Paul. So we're going to do that and sort of set the stage with two brief clips. So we're going to have one clip that we're going to start with, which is a news story from Fox 9 from last May. So we'll start with that one. Thank you. So it's Dean Woltner.
It's more Travis. Get a service 60% below MSRP on most of these Buick models.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. And these days it seems there's just no such thing as politics as usual. And just when you thought you had heard it all, another strange story comes to light.
This time, allegations of harassment and sexism in West St. Paul, where that city's mayor says she has become a target. Fox 9's Leah Vito joining us with details on this. So, Leah, where is all of this going?
Well, yesterday there was a special city council meeting called to further discuss the situation that sparked all of this, but council didn't have a quorum. Also, the applicant at the center of it all withdrew her application, and meanwhile, the community discussion is just getting started.
There was a small political brush fire that basically turned into the city burning down.
That so-called brush fire erupted at the April 23rd West St. Paul City Council meeting.
This will not be forgotten, folks.
Little boys.
I'm sorry, that is an inappropriate comment, Madam Mayor.
No, it is not.
Yours is inappropriate.
Moments prior, the council approved 2 planning commission appointments by Mayor Jenny Halverson, but denied her third choice. All happened to be women.
I appreciate the mayor's desire to have more women involved in city government. I don't think that should be the determining factor.
When there was someone else in this chair who were lobbying for his ability and privilege to appoint, and that should be his prerogative. But now that it's me here, that's not the position.
I want to make it very clear, I'm qualified for this position.
Samantha Green believes the vote was personal based on her criticism of the council in the past. The next day, Green found a box of tissues placed outside her home, and the mayor found a box of feminine pads. Both also reported to police someone banging on their doors at various times of day and night.
But close to us, that close to my kids, my family, that was really disturbing. Besides the message that they were trying to send.
Councilmember Anthony Fernandez is also disturbed by the harassing items found outside Green and Mayor Halverson's homes, but does not agree the 4 no votes, including his, were sexist. He says it was an attempt to help pave the way for a planning commissioner who wanted to be reinstated.
I made a bad decision. I made the wrong decision.
Now Green has organized a collection for feminine products to be donated, but both Green and Mayor Halverson say they look forward to further discussion and something good coming out of an ugly situation.
I've been the only one there for almost 6 years, and to finally feel this community stand up and get engaged is just, it's amazing. It's wonderful.
Now, a large community gathering is expected for that next city council meeting, which is set for May 14th. That will also serve as a drop-off location for those donated pads and tampons. Plus, a donation site has been set up that has already raised more than $1,700.
Okay, so although all of this may appear to begin at the city council meeting in April, this next clip demonstrates that the story actually begins earlier than that. So just the second clip is of Mayor Halverson's opening remarks before the May City Council meeting, where she describes some of her experiences in office, both I think during the time of City Council and as mayor, And she also lays out guidelines for how citizens and council members are to conduct themselves at that meeting. And since this is a civil discourse event, I really want you to actually hear her words because I think they're a powerful part of the story. Just to give you a little context, because you can't tell from the angle of the camera, there were about 150 people in attendance at that meeting who were prepared, many of them to share comments during the citizen comment period, and they do, for many of you do, or I recognize you from having watched those meetings many times, for more than an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. It's really unheard of. So if you look closely at the end of the clip, you'll see our two panelists lined up for their turn at the podium. You can see that too. So I will just let the clip sort of speak for itself, and then we'll move into some questioning. So hopefully this one's set up.
Life representatives. Tonight we're going to move on to our citizen comments, and we're going to handle this a little bit differently this evening, but first I'll read you the required verbiage on the agenda. Individuals may address the City Council about any item not included on the regular agenda. Speakers are requested to come to the podium, state their name and address for the clerk's record. Generally, the City Council will not take official action on items discussed at this time, but may typically refer the matter to staff for a future report or direct that the matter be scheduled on an upcoming agenda. So tonight, before folks come up, I know we have a crowd here tonight, and I would like to kind of introduce why I think a lot of us are here. So I'm going to give just hopefully kind of a short statement, and then we're going to turn it over for citizen comments. And I'll talk about some ground rules at the end here, but we'll handle all the citizen comments, and then we'll come back for council comments, just so this doesn't turn into a debate at the podium. But I'll start with my statement this evening. In light of the incredibly strong public response to 4 of our council members' refusal to approve my appointment of Samantha Green to our Planning Commission, I'm going to take a few minutes to share some of my thoughts on the issues of what has happened and what needs to change to ensure a more diverse group of community leaders is allowed to serve our city. I've been cautioned by some that my openly speaking to this tonight is improper and puts the city in a bad light. I disagree. Every city, every community, every group of people anywhere on earth has issues that are difficult. It is how the community reacts in the face of these challenges that defines whether or not they shrivel or they thrive as a result. It is critical that we take the time to earnestly address this issue now. Almost 6 years ago, I was elected as only the 5th woman to serve on our city council. Almost 2 years ago, I was elected as the very first woman to ever serve as mayor. During my tenure of nearly 6 years, I've been advocating for the broader change that needs to happen with our city council to truly allow for more diverse input from our community. Having heard the responses issued by the 4 council members in the interim period between our last regular meeting on April 23rd and now, I want to be clear that your votes were not an innocent mistake, they were purposeful, and that this is not a matter to be taken lightly. Regarding that response, those public comments since our last meeting have referred to this as a quote-unquote political brush fire. This is not political. This is about sexism, harassment, decency, and respect. This is not a brush fire. The public outcry over this has been unlike anything I have experienced. It is about much more than the harassment that occurred following our April 23rd meeting. It is about the culture that has been created here that culminated in the vote on April 23rd. This was not an isolated incident. For the past 6 years, there have been attempts to intimidate me. I have been threatened, subtly and not so subtly, in various ways. I've been followed many times. I've been followed home from meetings. People have regularly driven past my home. I've been followed around and outside of the city, tracking what I am doing and who I am with. It has at least twice reached the point where I've cautioned in open council work sessions that if it did not stop, I would be taking this matter to the public. In ways that are all too familiar to many women, it has been plainly seen when credit for projects and ideas is transferred to my male counterparts. It has been seen when during meetings with outside consultants, no one makes eye contact with me, the only woman at the table. It is seen during meetings when I have not been recognized, when I have been talked over, and when there have been many attempts at putting words in my mouth. Offensive comments and this type of treatment are nothing new. It also includes jovial comments about being attracted to me while taking a seat at the table. It includes comments on my appearance, and it has included being told that a colleague was looking down my shirt throughout a meeting. Actions like these I have described clearly create an environment where the voices of those from underrepresented communities are stymied. And this needs to stop now. This is just a small sampling of what I, other women, and those in underrepresented communities face every single day. This is not just about each incident and its fallout. This is about the menacing culture it creates and the feelings it breeds. It is the attempted picking away at our will and our confidence as each time we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and head back to the table. It is about the ugliness that permeates the entire environment, and we carry it with us in meetings, in negotiations, in our lives, and in our homes. But we keep going, and we keep fighting, because we want to get back to work, because we are qualified, and because we are really good at doing the work. Being here tonight, using this platform and this microphone to speak to this, feeling this wave of support that has roared through our city, it is inspiring and it is empowering. This movement that has surged in our city to turn something so dishearteningly negative into something so overwhelmingly positive speaks to the remarkable strength and integrity of our community. I could go on and on about the importance of this issue, about history and the current cultural relevance of the confrontation of sexism and harassment being discussed here tonight, but instead I want to hear from you. We need to hear from you. Please share your thoughts, your reactions, your questions. This is your City Hall. Your First Amendment rights are important to me, and they will be recognized and upheld here. I'll lay down a few ground rules so that we can maintain some basic decorum. Please refrain from using any vulgarities in your comments. Please remain at the podium. Given the number of people in attendance, please limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. Know that attempts or allusions to threaten the physical safety of anyone in the room will not be tolerated. In an effort to manage time and also to uphold decorum further, I'll ask the council please refrain from answering questions until everyone has had an opportunity to speak. If after council is done speaking there are remaining questions and comments, I may allow limited time for that as well. Again, just so we're clear, you're free to ask questions of us, but know that we will not immediately respond. We, Mayor and Council, will have that opportunity to speak after we've had the opportunity to listen to you. I've always believed that the most important part of our job here is to listen. These ground rules will help us ensure that all of you are heard and that your energy here tonight continues to shine a light and continues to be a movement toward positive change. Thank you.
Okay, so now that we all have a better sense of what we're talking about, I'd like to get started here with our discussion. And I have a specific question for each of you all individually, and then every other question will be open to any and all of you. So Mayor Halverson, I'd like to start with you. At the April 23rd City Council meeting, before discussion of your appointments of 3 women to the Planning Commission, you announced that you would not be running for another term. And at that time, you called on the women of West St. Paul to, quote, step up this year, end quote, saying that it was really important to have women involved in West St. Paul city leadership. And since you were the only woman at the table, quite literally for 6 years, I think you're in a really unique position to answer this question, which is, why does it matter if women hold local office and are involved in local government?
I think this is a really, this work.
Okay, no, maybe it just has to be with service.
Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yep.
So, but I think this is a really big question, right? And it has a global answer that I can probably kind of bring it down to the local level with some examples. I think in 2 words, right? Representation matters.
I mean, it's really that simple, and it's really not something that I think we need to explain or debate anymore. It matters. I think that it's important. We're part of a representative democracy, right? And so our government should represent what we look like in our communities. And I think that at a local level, I can give some examples of when that really made a change or had an effect. And I think we forget how we all pick into the national stage, right? And presidential runs, and we'd love to see our first woman as president and all that, and that's all important too. But the stuff we're doing on a local level affects our families directly. It affects our neighbors directly, our friends, our schools that our kids go to. So all those things are important for a variety of reasons. I know there were things even like park planning. Everybody from West St. Paul or the surrounding communities is familiar with Harmon Park, right? And that we brought that to the table when I came onto the council, and we were talking about revamping that whole area. When those plans first came out, the splash pad was about this big on a plan, about this big. And I remember talking to my neighbor, another young mom, into joining our Park and Rec Commission. And I said, Randy, this thing needs to be a lot bigger. She said, you're right. These are hugely popular. They're great they're accessible, they're free. We need more of these in our communities. So we fought, and that splash pad ended up being, about this big. And it has been wildly successful for all those reasons. Had I not been there, or someone similarly situated, had she not been there, we would have still had this, right? And again, that's a direct impact. I mean, the other thing is really even a life and death safety related. We had a bike ped plan that was done for us, right? And that sat on the shelf for I don't know how long. And when I came on, I started asking questions about it because I use our streets as a pedestrian. I use our streets on my bike with my kids, on their bikes, and I see all the people who are similarly situated, who are using alternate forms of transportation, right? Not just sitting in their cars. And so we got that adopted, and we started moving that forward, and we still have a ways to go, but we're picking away at it and moving in the right direction. So those kind of things don't happen unless you have someone who can see, and even those who are seated and have the best of intentions, who are part of an overrepresented community, they can't help because they can't identify those needs, even if they want to. So I think that it's important. Like I said, on a larger scale, representation matters, but locally it really affects our families, our friends, our neighbors.
Thanks for those really specific examples. I think that helps really make the point. Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Berry. At the May 14th meeting, when you announced your candidacy for City Council, that was the meeting you just saw. That was a very exciting moment. You asked council members to look out at the citizens in the standing room only crowd, and you noted that, quote, it's not quite like looking in a mirror, which is a pretty powerful connection between the president's house. You also